Cardiff play West Bromwich Albion. There you are tonight in a vital game for both sides in the Championship. So what we've done is we've got a guy here who's on his way to the game later tonight. It's Cardiff centre-back, Sol Bamba. Welcome to Transfer Talk.
Thank you.
Yes, we literally dragged him in off the street into the studio today. Hello to those of you watching on YouTube as well. Adi Oladipo is with us as well a little bit later on. He'll be with Sol at the Sky Pad. Plenty to get through. We are starting today with Manchester United and strong words from Ole Gunnar Solskjaer on Alexis Sanchez. Now, he's currently on a season-long loan at Inter Milan, but it seems the forward does have a future at the club.
If there is something out there, then the club are pursuing that and looking at it, and of course it is difficult. It's a difficult window, has always been. I can't remember how many good ones we've brought in good deals that we brought in January. You know, Henrik was good, Nemanja and Patrice, they were two good ones. Henrik was a loan. Sanchez, I'm talking about. It's hard. It's very hard because some of the clubs don't want to lose their best players. So Alexis will come back in the summer and prove you all wrong.
Well, let's head to the United training ground and join our reporter James Cooper. James, you were in that news conference. Very interesting comments then from Solskjaer. Was anyone expecting that?
No, I don't think they were. There was an element of surprise there, but I think there's a long way between Ole Gunnar Solskjaer saying something like that and Alexis Sanchez ever pulling on the red of Manchester United again. He hasn't been a huge success over at Inter Milan. I think he's had problems there. He's had injury problems first and foremost. I think he's played something like 214 minutes since that loan spell started. I think there's a degree of surprise as well that United didn't have a recall clause built into that deal that would have made life maybe a little bit easier, bearing in mind, of course, they've lost Marcus Rashford and they're struggling to get a replacement in this window. But I think, you know, what more is Ole Gunnar Solskjaer expected to say? There was surprise when he talked about Sanchez there and he said, look, he's going to prove you wrong. I think, you know, if United are trying to get a market for him and clubs to maybe purchase him in the summer, then they can't be talking him down. So I think there are an awful lot of reasons why Ole Gunnar Solskjaer said what he said, but I'd be more surprised if Alexis Sanchez made a success of his career at Manchester United. It really would be a huge U-turn for him.
What about potential incomings though, James? Will they get Bruno Fernandes over the line by Friday night?
Yeah, I think they'd like to try and do that, but I think there's also still a substantial gap between what they want to pay and what Sporting Lisbon want. And I think that's perhaps natural in negotiations. I know there is a kind of school of thought from a lot of Manchester United fans that say go and do the business, but I think, you know, they're equally some of the same Manchester United fans who criticise the club for paying over the odds for players. United know they have to do that. They are trying to do some hard bargaining on this because, of course, they know the player wants to come and they know that Sporting Lisbon wants to do a deal. So, you know, it has all the hallmarks of going right down to the wire, this one. And certainly when you hear what Ole Gunnar Solskjaer saying about not rushing into deals, getting the right player. You know, Bruno Fernandes is someone who will be stronger. Solskjaer himself has said, you know, his squad is going to be better coming out of the window than it was going in. They've lost Ashley Young. They need some more bodies in there. And Bruno Fernandes certainly raises the ante on that. I think there is one little note of caution when I talked about a search for a striker. Again, they are searching, they are scouring. I don't think it's going to be Islam Slimani. I think he's someone that's been mentioned and looked at, but I think also pretty much discarded by Manchester United as an option. And I think the problem is, as I've said before, they were trying to get players maybe that they had on as summer kind of targets and bring them in early. That isn't happening. It's a tough market. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer there with only a very few examples of what United have done well in the January window. So, yeah, Bruno Fernandes is a deal that can be done, perhaps will be done, but in terms of getting a striker, I think that's far less certain right now.
And James, there was a little bit of confusion amongst other news outlets this morning over a player arrival at the United training ground. Just explain what happened there.
Yeah, there's been a lot of excitement and confusion in the last half hours about speculation that Sander Berg, of course, Genk's midfielder who's been linked with the move to Sheffield United, turning up at Carrington. There was certainly a big car that arrived and certainly a player that looked a little bit like Sander Berg. We're told it isn't him at all. Sander Berg isn't in Manchester. He isn't at Carrington. He isn't having a medical. The gentleman that was there is a 15-year-old goalkeeper that Manchester United are looking at and perhaps might perhaps potentially sign on and bring into the football club. But not Sander Berg. He's not signing for Manchester United. He's not an option for Manchester United, and it certainly isn't happening this morning. A little bit sorry for the poor guy that is here, who's now known for not being Sander Berg.
James, thank you very much. Very unfortunate, isn't it, for that young man there who arrived at the Manchester United training ground, who people thought was Sander Berg, but it turned out...
Maybe he liked it. It's only 15.
Maybe, exactly. Yeah, everyone gets their 15 minutes, don't they? That's what they say. Daniel's got in touch today saying, I'm happy to hear what Ollie has said about Alexis Sanchez still having a United future. I just want Sanchez to succeed and be happy and be a United player. Remember, you can get in touch with us, #TransferTalk at Sky Sports News. Sol Bamba, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for coming in today. I mean, it seemed to surprise a lot of people what Ole Gunnar Solskjaer said there about Alexis Sanchez seemingly having a future still at Manchester United. Can you see an opportunity where he might come back and play?
I understand the surprise, because I'm surprised myself, if I'm honest, because obviously when he got out of the club for a reason, went on loan, injury problem as well. He's still contracted by Man United, so I understand where all is coming from, but I think it's the reason why he left at the first place, so I can understand why the fan will be surprised now.
Would he be happy, do you think, hearing Solskjaer say this as a player out on loan?
Yeah, definitely, because his loan haven't worked out at the minute. He went in Italy to get a fresh start and to build his career again, but unfortunately the injury didn't help, and I'm sure if you're a player, when you hear your manager saying that, you're definitely going to be happy about it.
Well, United fans can get in touch with us at #TransferTalk at Sky Sports News. What do you think they'll make of this today?
Well, I know you read one out a second ago, but the majority of tweets I've seen haven't been so kind to Alexis Sanchez. He's been trending since this news broke, since we heard from Ole Gunnar Solskjaer a little while ago on Sky Sports News. But just to give you a little taster, Flex United, someone we've had on the show before a couple of weeks ago, he tweeted saying, "This is a joke. We can't sign anyone in January." And when asked about it, Ole says that a player he didn't want will come back in the summer and prove people wrong. This is madness. Rance, who's also part of the United Stand fan channel, has said he has muted the words Ole, the words Solskjaer and OGS. And Mark Goldbridge, also from the United Stand, said missing out on players to Leeds, obviously referring to that striker from RB Leipzig, and offering Sanchez a chance to resurrect his career at United next season is just another day at Manchester United. So I think a lot of fans not happy. I think a majority of fans probably thought they'd seen the last of Alexis Sanchez in a United shirt. Obviously, it didn't really work out for him. He came in from Arsenal as a proper game changer, really, and then made 3 goals in 32 Premier League appearances for Manchester United.
I think it's really interesting to pick up on what Sol was saying about the injuries. Alexis Sanchez only just turned 31, but he's played more than 500 games already in his career. And think about it, he's a high-energy player, and he was going all the travel as well, because he was basically playing a full season and then Copa America, full season World Cup, full season international tournament. And I'm sure Sol will tell you how much that takes it out of you, especially the type of player Alexis Sanchez is. And these injury problems only really started in 2018. Because this is all catching up with Alexis Sanchez. It's hardly a surprise. He's only started 1 game into this season because of these injury problems. But there is one heck of a player there that Ole hasn't given up on in a time of desperation. But then you've got the other side of it, which is, well, why did you let him go in the first place?
Yeah, and I think it's interesting what Solskjaer says. He says he will come back and prove you all wrong. But this is the guy who loaned him out to Inter Milan in the first place. But just going back on something what you said there, Anton, he's 31 years old. Now, we heard James Cooper talking there, mentioning players that they've been linked with, players they could be interested with. Islam Slimani's been mentioned. James said that won't be happening. The other one was Odi and Ighalo. Now, with all due respect to those two, they're not in the league and never have been in the same league as Alexis Sanchez. He is only 31. Yes, he hasn't played a lot of football. Yes, he's had injury problems. But when they're as desperate as they are for a striker right now, or potentially again in the summer, what's wrong with giving Alexis Sanchez, who's earning all that money from the club, giving him a second chance?
Well, let's ask Sol, because, I mean, Anton talked about the amount of travel in a player's international career. You'll have travelled quite a lot in your international career. How much does that take out of you?
Yeah, it's very, very difficult, and it's demanding. You're playing week in, week out. You go play for the national team. You're travelling as well, and for the body, it's never easy. And I think, especially when you type of player like Alexis Sanchez, is all about explosivity. It's quick, you know, and everything. So, if you travel a lot and you didn't recover and you come back and play games, he's always going to be injury prone, and it's unfortunate for him. But I do think United fans are confusing, because 1 minute the player, we don't want the player, the next minute we we want him and he's got a future. And I think that's where United as a club have to come out and be clear about it and said, like, that's the way we want to go about it. We're going forward this way, and the fan will be happier like that.
Remember, Inter Milan see him as a squad player. You know, all right, he's had his injury problems, but they've got their front two nailed in Martinez and Lukaku, and they're trying to sign another striker as well this month. So it's not as though they see him as the saviour either. So why are Manchester United all of a sudden seeing him as the saviour? Why is it when Manchester United try and sign a player, he's always going to be the saviour? Be it Fernandes, the creative saviour, Maguire, the defensive saviour. It must be tiring for Manchester United fans to have this desperate need for these positions every single transfer window.
OK, well, you can have your say. Jason's got in touch with us. Says, maybe Sanchez will prove us all wrong. Maybe I will win the lottery. The odds are pretty much the same. That's from Jason. NKP20MUFC says, face it, Sanchez is done at this level. It's not happening. He won't get his Arsenal form back. Doesn't mean he's completely useless, thank you, but it is a step back. That's from NKP there. So keep your thoughts coming into us. Hashtag transfer talk. I'm sure we're going to be talking much more about Manchester United over the next few days as we get closer to the transfer deadline. Time for the latest headlines with State of Play. Here's Emma.
Yeah, PSV and Tottenham have agreed a fee for winger Steven Bergwijn. And staying with PSV, they have raised their offer for Crystal Palace left-back Patrick Van Aanholt. Flamengo boss Jorge Jesus says the club are confident they can keep hold of Arsenal target Pablo Mari. Norwegian international midfielder Sander Berge has told Genk he wishes to leave the club before Friday's transfer deadline, with Sheffield United favourites to sign him. Slavia Prague have given midfielder Thomas Souček permission to travel to London for a medical and further contract negotiations with West Ham. Former Newcastle player Hatem Ben Arfa has signed a 6-month deal with Real Valladolid. Got there in the end.
Thank you very much, Emma. Still to come this morning, we're going to be live to West Ham. Will there be news on incomings there? And big developments at Tottenham today. Details on the way. Welcome back to Transfer Talk. Good to have you with us this afternoon. Plenty of Manchester United supporters are getting in touch with us. Tony has said, I don't think it's an overreaction to say this is the worst transfer window ever for Manchester United. Maybe a bit hasty. There's still time. Manchester United. And Trev has got in touch to ask, is there any truth on Sander Berge at United for a medical? Well, you must have just missed it because we talked about it at the top of the show. A case of mistaken identity on that one. OK, let's get to West Ham now. It's going to be a busy few days for David Moyes before the window closes. Rebecca Williams is at the club's training ground for us now. Hi to you, Rebecca. Do you expect the club to bring in reinforcements before the deadline then?
Yeah, good morning to you. I think they're going to have to. They're battling relegation. They've got a number of injuries, and at the same time, they've got older players like Pablo Zabaleta out of contract at the end of the season, 35 years old. So you'd think they need to, bolster their defensive options, if you like. David Moyes has said he would like to bring in players, but he doesn't want to panic buy. He only wants to bring in players that are going to work for the club. They've only made one signing so far this window, and that, of course, Darren Randolph from Middlesbrough for £4 million. We now know that Thomas Souček has been given permission from Slavia Prague to come here for his medical. We're keeping an eye out for him. He's been valued by the club at £16.8 million. He scored 12 goals in 26 appearances for Slavia Prague this season. And he's also been voted the Czech Player of the Year. So if West Ham can get that one over the line, and it's certainly looking positive, you'd think that would be a good signing for them. Matty Cash, he's also been talked about. There have been reports of a bid for him, but also interest from the likes of AC Milan and Southampton. So that could be a tricky one and one to watch. Of course, there were high hopes for West Ham at the start of the season that they would finish in the top half of the table. That hasn't happened. And as I say, now they are battling relegation and the pressure on David Moyes to keep them inside the Premier League. 4 days to go. We'll keep an eye out and I'll ask him for the details in an hour's time in his press conference.
Yes, it's going to be an interesting news conference, which we'll bring you here on Sky Sports News. West Ham facing Liverpool. It doesn't get much tougher this week for them, does it? Now, we broke the news on Good Morning Transfers that Steven Bergwijn's move to Tottenham is getting closer. Emma, what do we know? What's the latest on this?
It is edging ever closer. So we broke the news earlier on Sky Sports News that Tottenham have agreed a deal with PSV Eindhoven for the winger. It's understood that he's been at the training ground this morning to kind of tie up the final pieces of the deal with a medical set to take place once all of that is sorted. So I'm sure we'll have updates throughout the day here on Sky Sports News. PSV also announced that he didn't train with them today, obviously, because he has been in London, and that he's received permission to travel to England for an upcoming transfer. So, yeah, a deal has been agreed. And this is obviously a player they've tracked for a while and looks like a real investment in talent, really, for Spurs.
Absolutely. Questions from some Tottenham fans about whether it's a player that they need at this point in the season. He's not going to be a like-for-like for Christian Eriksen when he finalises that move to Inter. Is he someone that Tottenham need at this point under Jose Mourinho?
I don't think so. I think, like you said, they need to replace Eriksen. So I think more as a number 10. And obviously the striker situation has always been the case for a long time. A replacement for Harry Kane when he's injured. So I don't think is a player they need at this moment in time, but I think it's one maybe for the future.
Yeah, does that suggest that perhaps this is a difference in philosophy for Mourinho? Is he going down a different route?
I think twofold. A, he's going for more direct options. Donny Malen is a striker who PSV who has massively benefited from Steven Bergwijn's presence. So, and I think we're going to see something similar. That's what they want to see at Tottenham with Harry Kane eventually and Steven Bergwijn. So Steven Bergwijn's got 10 assists already this season, and Donny Malen's got 11 goals. Those two link up so well with each other that Tottenham would like to see that replicated in the Premier League, effectively. So they haven't just scouted the player, they've scouted what he's given to the team, and that's what Tottenham are trying to do with a direct winger that cuts inside a lot and that will score goals but also set up many, many chances. That's what they want, because you've got a goal-scoring sort of attacking player like Son, and you've got threats around, but they're lacking assists when you take Eriksen out of the team. But it's just getting them in a different way.
I think, Dave, they need numbers in, don't they? They need numbers. Harry Kane out for a few months. We all know about that. They've not replaced him with a centre forward. They've been playing sort of makeshift strikers. I don't like to say that, but they'd be moving the likes of Lucas Moura through the middle, Son further forward as well, take Eriksen out of the equation, and suddenly you're light in that area behind the front man, so they need to get someone in, and this guy looks as though he has the attributes to be a Tottenham Hotspur player. And as we've seen in recent years, the amount of Dutch players who have come into the Premier League have done terrifically well. Virgil van Dijk, Jorginho Wijnaldum, Nathan Ake, and this looks like the next one off of that line.
So Bergwijn play back in July actually, played against PSV against Basel, and they won 3-2, and he absolutely terrified the Basel defence, and that's what I think Tottenham want. They want to add pace under Mourinho. They want to terrify teams, because at the moment they've been such a docile attacking force at times this season, haven't they, Tottenham? That actually I think they just want that injection of something to bring fear to the opposition, and I think he will bring that.
And let's be honest, Mourinho said when he arrived that he was happy with the squad, but he was always going to want a couple of his own players in to start off. You know, you can be as happy as you want, but you need to put your mark in the team. Once you've had your feet under the desk, you've seen what you've got at your disposal, and that's what he's doing with his first couple of signings in Bergwijn and Jedson Fernandes.
Well, you used the word fear there, and that is exactly what Wazza has said.
Good lad,
Yes,
Wazza.
we do need... You're in agreement with Wazza here. Yes, we do need a player like Bergwijn. We need players that strike fear into Premier League defences. So that is from Wazza. And I suppose that was the criticism, wasn't it? You mentioned the word docile there, but the criticism of Tottenham was that they weren't running as hard as they were in the first few years of Mauricio Pochettino. Is that what they need, that injection of energy into their pressing, into their forward line?
Yeah, I think they need different option, because I think Tottenham only got one way to play, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't have a plan B, if you like. And I think with a player of this caliber, they want something different, like you said, pace, power. And I think especially Mourinho like to play like that counter-attack football as well. So I think it'd be nice to have someone different.
It's funny talking about that pace, because I was talking to a recruitment scout over the weekend and just going through a few of the players, I suppose, that have been linked with moves that we've been talking about. And I asked him about Willian Jose, and he replied saying, too slow for Jose Mourinho. So if we're talking about that pace, you know, that injection of fiery kind of sides, you know, in terms of this Mourinho team moving forward, potentially why they haven't signed him.
OK, well, there we go. I mean, this move for Steven Bergwijn may directly affect another potential transfer. PSV already looking for reinforcements there. Keith, what's the latest on Patrick van Aanholt? Yeah,
well, I mean, it's a left-back rather than an attacking addition, but they have this morning raised their offer. PSV have raised their offer for Crystal Palace defender Patrick van Aanholt, of course another Dutchman himself. They've offered a package which could rise to just over £7.5 million, including add-ons. That after their opening bid of, I think it was around £5 million, was rejected over the weekend. So PSV making it clear Van Aanholt is their man, they want him. Remember, he only has 18 months left on his contract at Selhurst Park. But Palace have made it clear that they want to keep their man, and we expect them to reject the second offer from PSV. And when it comes to fullbacks, it's not exactly the place that Roy Hodgson wants to lose players, is it?
Yeah, I mean, the key thing that you said is that he's got 18 months left on his contract, so Roy Hodgson won't want to entertain this, but Crystal Palace might have to. I was talking to Michael Bridge on the phone just before we came on air. Yeah, of course, we know he's Mr. Crystal Palace. Probably be a really busy man on transfer deadline day. But he spoke to Roy Hodgson, who has said, look, my squad is down to the bare bones here. I cannot afford to let any players leave. And they are depleted, like you said, in that left-back position. Jeffrey Schlupp is a player that's had to come in. He then himself got injured. They then had Rijdervold, who's not a natural left-back, but he's been playing in that position the last handful of Premier League games. So a lot of players can play there, but yeah, Roy Hodgson will want to bring the left back in. Michael Bridge said on the phone as well, like I said, it's going to be a busy day for him, but he wants to bring in a number of players, a right back, a left back, and maybe a striker as well.
So it's imperative that they hold on to Van Aanholt. If they're looking for a left back, left wing back anyway, and then he goes, they're in a bit of bother with a couple of days to go. Yeah. So it's vital that they hold on to him, and our information is that they will.
And you know him well.
Yeah, exactly. Play with him in Leicester, talk to him occasionally. I think he hold all the card, if I'm honest, because he's got 18 months left on his contract. He probably want to go back home. He's been in England long enough. So he's whatever he want to do. I'm sure Palace will offer him a new contract for him to stay. But if he decides to go back home with his family, I know he had another baby recently, so we may be looking into that, but I think he holds all the cards.
Okay, it'll be interesting to find out how that one develops over the next few days. Keep using the hashtag Transfer Talk. So much still to come. We'll take a look through some of Sol's transfer moves. That's coming next. Good afternoon. Welcome back to Transfer Talk. Good to have you with us. We are also streaming live on YouTube as well, so you can take us out and about. We're also available on Sky Go. Lots of Manchester United supporters getting in touch with us about what we talked about at the top of the programme. Jamie says, please sign Bruno Fernandes now. Sign him today. It is depressing. Sorry, Jamie. There's still time. And also, Lorenzo says, we all know exactly why United are thinking of giving Alexis another chance, as the hierarchy believe that they won't get the targets they want in the summer. If you ask me, it's out of desperation. So plenty of tweets coming in. Hashtag transfer talk at Sky Sports News on Twitter. We are going to talk more about football transfer news in a moment, but there is very significant news reaching us from Super League this lunchtime. Fraser Dainton, big news for you. You join us live. What can you tell us?
Huge news, as you say, from Super League. It concerns the controversial Australian Israel Folau, who we can tell you has signed a one-year contract with Catalan's Dragons. Now, you will remember Folau was at the centre of huge controversy last year when he expressed his religious views in a homophobic tweet and as a result was sacked by Rugby Australia. There was a lengthy court case afterwards where Rugby Australia issued Folau with an apology after an agreement was reached between the two parties. Now, we know that he'd been trying to get a way back into professional sport, and as I say, that appears to have happened now with him signing a one-year deal with the Dragons. We understand there are conditions specific to this deal, which are as follows. He will not use social media while he is at Catalans as a player. Any transgression will result in termination of the contract. By transgression, that means any repetition of his religious views or beliefs in a public forum. Now, there has been a little bit of reaction from the Rugby Football League so far. They've issued a small statement at this stage saying we are committed to equality and diversity in the sport. Rugby League is an inclusive sport at all levels, whether interested in playing, coaching, officiating, volunteering or watching. Folau, of course, a terrific player on the field, 62 caps for Australia, and he did have spells in Rugby League, of course, with Melbourne Storm and Brisbane Bronco, but it's his controversial views which will no doubt provoke a huge amount of reaction to this news that he has signed a one-year deal with Catalans Dragons in Super League, and we'll bring you more on this story as soon as we have it.
OK, Fraser, thanks for the moment.
Welcome back to Transfer Talk. I'm joined at the Sky Pad by Cardiff City centre-back Sol Bamba. Sol, this is almost like my version of This Is Your Life, so be prepared for it. I read somewhere, before we talk about your football career, I read somewhere that your mum and dad initially didn't even want you to be a footballer. They turned down a lot of scouts and wanted you to be a doctor.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Mum said, you got a good heart and you need to help people. Football is no job, so get a good job and be a doctor, but it was never going to happen.
So no chance of being a doctor in the future?
No chance, no.
I understand, my mum wants me to be a lawyer, so we're on the same wavelength here. Let's talk about your first club, PSG. A fantastic club, obviously. You moved there when you was 11, moved away from PSG when you were 21. Talk to me about your time there. We know you played for the youth team, defensive midfielder, starting off. Didn't get much opportunity in the first team, though. Talk about your time at PSG.
Yeah, obviously the club I support growing up, so it was an honour and a privilege for me to play for that club. Went there when I was 11, the academy, so I was away from Monday to Friday, sorry. Back on the weekend to see the family and back again on the Sunday. So I've done that from 11 to 16, and 16 I had my first opportunity to sign professional and play for them. Never had many chances, unfortunately. I played 2 games, come on for 10 minutes, my first game when I was 17. Always going to remember that. Been on the bench a few times in the league, in the cup and in the Champions League, but never managed to break through, unfortunately.
You left Paris Saint-Germain, went to Scotland.
Yeah.
Obviously, a completely different transition from playing in France to Scotland. You moved to Dunfermline Athletic, initially going on trial there as well. How did that trial come about? Yeah,
my agent was very close with the manager at the time, and left Paris Saint-Germain, and I needed first-team football. So he got me a try there, went there. Trained for 10 minutes and he put me out and he said, can you come and sign your contract?
Wow.
Yeah, so I had a fantastic 2 years there, learned my English over there, different culture, very good place, and I'm always going to have a place in my heart, this club, because they give me everything there.
What was it like there as a 21-year-old, obviously by yourself, moving to a foreign country by yourself? What was that transition like from going from France to Scotland?
Yeah, it was difficult because obviously first time I was moving away as well from the family completely, but I was kind of used to it because I was away anyway the whole week. Yeah. So it was just new, the country, the language. Obviously up in Scotland as well, the weather is absolutely freezing, so it was difficult for me. But apart from that, honestly, only good time, and learned my English there. Played 2 good seasons there, and still got a couple of friends over there. So it was a special club for me.
Now, I know after Dunfermline, a lot of interest from Championship clubs, but you decided to stay in Scotland. Obviously, Hibernian was your next club, played there 80 times. What was that like? And why Hibernian? Why not a move to a Championship club?
Yeah, I do think at that time I needed to play a bit more games in the Scottish League. I don't think I was ready for the Championship yet. And I had a great manager there, Mixo Patalainen, and he asked me to come and play for him. And he said I would play on my favourite position, where it was centre midfield. So I went there, had a fantastic 2 seasons as well. We played the Europa League qualifier. Yeah. Very, very good club, and got good friends as well. Love the city. Edinburgh is a lovely city.
You go up there, don't you, often?
Yeah. Still go up there. I've got friends and love the club. And when I can, I go and say hello. I still got some people still working at the club, and it was a fantastic 2 years for me over there as well.
I know Keith Downey says he can still hear a bit of Scottish accent there as well. Still got a bit of it.
Yeah, apparently I still got a bit of it. And funny enough, when I left Ibs and came to Leicester, I had the first press interview. And I was talking, and everyone was there laughing, and I was like, "Why is it?" And everyone said, "Well, you're from France and you speak with a Scottish accent." So I still got it sometimes, yeah.
You mentioned Leicester there, and that was the move you made, Leicester in the Championship. That must have been a dream or an ambition as well to play in England.
Yeah, absolutely. Growing up watching Man United with my dad, so it was always a dream to play for England and play in the Premier League. So when I had a chance to move to Leicester, it was a great opportunity, and I took it with my both hands. It was a fantastic club. Still got friends over there as well. The fans took me right away, and only good memories for that club.
How important was Sven-Göran Eriksson? Obviously, your manager for a period at Ivory Coast, obviously the manager at the time at Leicester City. How instrumental was he in convincing you to come down to Leicester?
Yeah, he was huge. I had him in the national team in the World Cup 2010, and I remember he actually dropped me before the first game against Portugal in the World Cup, and I was very, very disappointed. But he said he signed me after it because my attitude never changed. I carry on training. I always got a smile on my face. And when he left, he said, "When I'm going to get a club in England, I'm going to sign you." And I
stuck to his word.
Yeah, and I was just saying, "Oh, he's just saying that to be nice."
Yeah.
But as soon as he got the club, he gave me the call, and I went straight there. It's probably one of the best manager I work under.
You left Leicester City, you went back abroad. Your next 2 clubs were Trabzonspor and Palermo. You openly said as well you didn't get much game time, a lot of injuries. How frustrating was it for you at that time? Sort of peak years, not playing, injuries. How tough was those times for you?
Yeah, very difficult. Trabzonspor was a good learning curve. Went to a different culture, different league as well. We played Champions League, we played Europa League. It was good experience for me. I had 2 good years there. I learned the language as well. It was very, very good. And from there, I moved to Italy, and that's
where... You speak Turkish as well?
Yeah, tiny bit. I'm losing it because I don't practice it. So, it was very, very good time over there as well. Moved to Italy. Unfortunately, didn't play as much as I wanted to. Still learn as much as I can. Good culture. Learn the language again. It was very, very nice, but unfortunately, didn't play as much as I wanted to.
Yeah, at your time at Palermo, you then went on loan to Leeds United, became captain in only your 3rd game, which is sort of unheard of. Yeah. Was it good to be back in the Championship?
Yeah, very good. I was looking forward to come back in England and obviously bring the family back here as well. I had the opportunity to come to a great club like Leeds, and I think the 2 owners, Palermo and Leeds owner at the time, knew each other. Yeah. So I went there on loan and did okay, I think, and signed permanently after that.
Let's talk about your current club, Cardiff City. I know some fond memories, some amazing memories, promoted to the Premier League in 17-18. What I do want to touch on is Neil Warnock. How instrumental has he been? We all hear stories about Neil Warnock. Give us something. What's he like in the change room? What's Neil Warnock like?
What you see is what you get. Is very, very good in the dressing room, very good man management, and everyone will tell you that. And I was happy eventually I worked under him, because when I was at Leeds or Leicester, he said to me I should have worked with him 10 years ago, and I would have been a better player than I am now, he said. So it was good to work under him. It's typical Neil Warnock, isn't it? So still talking to him, I love him today. He's a very, very good man. I
know you famously said that you're better than Virgil van Dijk. Did that give you a bit of self-belief though? I mean, did that not kind of make you feel like, okay, I can compete with these top defenders?
Yeah, I mean, that's him. That's the gaffer being him, and he's always want to give you belief and confidence, and I think when he said that, he just wanted me to play as well as him, but I've never been as good as Van Dijk, that's for sure. But the gaffer's always been like that. I give you confidence to everyone. He's a top, like I said before, his man management is very, very good, so that's another example of it.
right, let's talk about your current situation now. 18 months left in your contract. I know it's been sort of an injury-hit season so far. You're coming back. We spoke off air about your knee injury. You are coming back from that. What's the situation now? Is it trying to force your way back into the team? Maybe go on loan for 6 months? What options do you have?
Yeah, I mean, obviously coming back from a long-term injury is always going to be difficult. The team's been doing well, so I just have to wait for my opportunity to come. And when it comes, I need to be ready to grab it. But obviously, I've got a fantastic relationship with the fans, with the owners, and I love it there. Family is settled. I don't want to move them again. I've been everywhere, so I think I have to stay in Cardiff for as long as I can. But obviously, football being football, if I've got opportunity to go and play 6 months and come back at the end of the season and see where we are, why not? But like I said, my time in Cardiff, I absolutely love it. So hopefully, I will stay there as long as I can.
And could be playing tonight against West Brom. Let's hope you don't miss the train as well.
No, I want to be there. Definitely, I'll be there. Don't worry, the fans should be okay. I'll be there.
There you go. Sol Bamba survived. This is your life. Sol, thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thanks.
Brilliant. Ade and Sol, thank you very much. More from Sol to come in just a moment. A reminder of the breaking news this lunchtime. Catalan Dragons have announced the signing of Israel Folau. The 30-year-old has signed a 1-year contract. He is a controversial figure in sport after he was sacked by Rugby Australia following an offensive social media post last year. Next on Transfer Talk, will Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang be on his way out of Arsenal? Lots of you getting in touch about this, so we're going to talk about that next. Welcome to Transfer Talk. Remember, keep up to date with the latest news on our transfer blog. Head to the website skysports.com to see that. Time now, though, for stay or go. And after newspaper reports that Barcelona are going to bid for Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, we're going to vote on the future of the Arsenal forward. So, everybody, and Sol's involved in this as well, all vote now. Stay or go, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. Just hold your board up for us, everybody. Oh, he's gone stay. We've got 2 stay, we've got 1 go. OK, then, Anton, we'll come to you for a go.
Oh, I'm going up against an actual professional footballer that's, played for his country, so...
Who's everyone going to believe?
You're wrong, Sol. Look, I just think Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang is in his peak. He's not going to get any better at Arsenal. His flexibility in the way he can play in the centre forward and play anywhere across the front three is perfect for what Barcelona need at any time, but especially now with Suarez out. I think he could actually go in and make more of an impact than Griezmann. He can go on and be an absolute star. Oh, and actually play in the Champions League, which is kind of befitting of a player of his standard as well. So, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. Go.
Respond, please, Sol, respond.
Well, I think they're going to build around him now. He's a new manager. I know, because to been talking to him, he wasn't enjoying it under Unai Emery. Now we've got a new manager. He loves them, and they're going to build a team around him. And I think he should stay, because Arsenal's going to only go up now, only get better, and I think they will get better. I know Barcelona is a big club, and everyone dreamed to play for Barcelona, but I think you've got it all here. I think you should stay.
You look like you've changed your mind, though.
No.
You see the difference between qualifying for the top 4 and not?
I think so, definitely. If they lose them, I think Arsenal's going to be in big trouble, and I think if they manage to get hold of him, I think they've got a good chance.
Playing under that pressure, it must get quite tiring. You can go and be
I think he's the kind of player that likes it, though.
Yeah,
likes
exactly.
That kind of pressure.
Yeah.
And were you a stay or a go? Were you
if I'm the club, I'm screaming stay because, like you said, the impact of not having him, who's a Premier League Golden Boot winner along with Sadio Mane last season, 22 goals. He'll get you 20 plus goals a season, and it's not just that. I've been at Arsenal's training ground quite a bit the first half of the season, and he's got a bit of an. Well, I don't know if aura is the right word, but he exudes positivity. I've spoken to a few younger players who, speak of that positivity, that leadership. Obviously, as Arsenal captain, but the kind of mentor figure he is as well. So I think it's so important that they keep hold of him.
Yeah.
Well, I think he should stay because he promised that he would a few weeks ago in his programme notes, didn't he?
Yes.
So I think he should stay, and I think he owes it to the new manager, Arteta, coming in. It's only fair on him. He gets to work with him for an amount of time. Yeah. I think if Barcelona are still interested in the summer, I think he should go then. He's 30 years old. He'll be 31 in the summer, probably his last big contract. And listen, it is Barcelona after all. But I think because of what he said in his programme notes, as the captain, he should stay this month.
OK, well, you can have your say on Twitter, at Sky Sports News, hashtag Transfer Talk as well. We're going to talk to Sol now about some of the burning questions that everybody has around the transfer window. Everybody has. And there was something that struck me there when you were talking to Ade a little bit earlier, and it was about going on trial. There'll be lots of players around the country going on trial during this January transfer window, trying to impress. What's your mentality like going into a trial situation, depending on how long it is?
Yeah.
Do you try and become a part of the group as a personality, or are you purely concentrating on the football and trying to be involved with the manager?
I think it's a bit of both, really, because what is important as well is to be yourself, because obviously you have to go and show how good you are. So it's good to be good on the place, gelling with the lads in the dressing room, but at the same time, when you're on the pitch, you have to concentrate on what you're good at. So I think it's a mix of both, but I think the most important thing is to be yourself and try to be the best you can in the pitch.
Is it the closest thing that, I mean, everybody at home will have been for a job interview in the past. Is it the closest thing a professional footballer gets to a job interview? Does the manager say, what will you bring to the team? What are your strengths? All that sort of thing.
No, I don't think the manager won't ask questions like this. You will go on the pitch and show what you're capable of, and what the manager will do, he will look at you without saying anything to see how you are on the place, and if you will fit in with his philosophy or with the teammate, and it's different than any other industry. And is never going to go and ask you how good you are or if you're going to fit in the team. It's up to you to go and show it.
OK, and we've talked about some of your transfer moves a little bit earlier, but sometimes moves don't happen for one reason or another. Is the one that sticks out in your mind that almost happened, that didn't quite get there, the one that springs to mind for me is perhaps Watford? You could have joined them?
Yeah, it's been a few times. I don't know if it was just rumours or my agent tried to
Agents don't do
make
that.
money or something.
Agents don't do
yeah,
that.
they do, trust me.
You don't know. I still don't know.
I still don't know about it because he never told me the truth. But I think it's a good question because people just remember the one we work out and at the end everything go well, everyone is okay. But I think sometimes it can have an impact in you as well when it didn't happen because you still have to play well and move on about it and try to play the best you can. But I think sometimes players get affected by it. And some people said, they should just get on with it. But it's difficult to recover from it because when you set your mind on something and potentially moving the family or move the kids from school and all that, in the end you don't do it, it's always difficult.
And did you ever get to the point where you were in advanced talks or things were really happening and then everything changed, the plan changed?
Yeah, it happened to me before, yeah, a few times. I think it was my agent's fault. We always blame the agent, but it happened to me before. But I think it's just a case of trying to get on with it. We know in the business way, and sometimes it happens, but obviously, ideally, you don't want it to happen, but it happens sometimes.
And I do just want to quickly ask you about Massimo Cellino as well, because you worked under him at Leeds United. An interesting and divisive character for Leeds United supporters. I'm sure there's plenty of stories that you could tell about that.
Yeah, there's a lot of stories I can tell about him. A few long phone call conversations with him until late at night, and him as well turning up at my house very, very late at night as well in Leeds. So he was one of those. He's a good character, a good man, but I think he was doing this to me just because we could speak in Italian, and it was easier for him to be upset with me than being upset with the rest of the team.
Brilliant. OK, we're just going to break away from this for just a moment because we've been talking this afternoon about the breaking news. Catalan Dragons announced the signing of Israel Folau. The 30-year-old has signed a one-year contract. We heard from Fraser Dainton a little bit earlier on. He's right across this for us. More reaction reaching us all the time, Fraser.
Yeah, some statements have been brought out from the RFL and also Super League's Robert Elston. The RFL confirming the registration of Israel Folau with the Catalan Dragons will not be prevented. This is a difficult decision as the RFL places a high value on the sport's reputation in prioritising inclusion and diversity and deplores the player's previous comments. However, the moral responsibility for deciding whether to sign a player sits with individual clubs. The player has not been charged or found guilty of any criminal offence. There's also some stuff from Robert Elston, Chief Exec of the Super League as well. Super League deplores the homophobic comments Israel Folau has made in the past, which squarely contradict our sport's core values. I have sought the opinion of informed voices connected to our game, and the majority share my disappointment that one of our clubs has chosen to sign him. There is a strong feeling that the decision to sign him lets down many people connected to our sport. I made Catalan Dragons aware of these views. Israel Folau himself has also commented, I acknowledge the views expressed by Super League and the Rugby Football League. I'm a proud Christian. My beliefs are personal. My intention is not to hurt anyone, and I will not be making further public comment about them. I look forward to my return to the great game of rugby league within Catalan Dragons. And very interestingly, within minutes of this decision being announced, Wigan Warriors confirming that their 6th round game against Catalans on Sunday the 22nd of March will now be Pride Day as Wigan Warriors look to support the LGBTQ+ community. The players will wear rainbow socks for that game. There's also some quotes from their CEO, Chris Radlinski. So huge amounts of reaction coming in over this controversial news that Israel Folau has signed for the Catalan Dragons.
OK, Fraser, thank you very much. More on that in the next hour. Sol, thank you very much for coming in. You're off to the game tonight?
Yeah, straight back off now.
Significant game tonight, top of the table,
game.
West Brom.
Big game for us, hopefully we can get a result.
And how's the season going? Do you still plan for the Championship playoffs? Is that the target?
Yeah, that's the target. Obviously, coming down from the Premier League is always difficult, but I think we've got a squad to at least make the playoff, hopefully.
And West Bromwich Albion have been rocking a little bit recently. Do you feel like there's a chance tonight for
Yeah, I think it's a good time to play them. Obviously, it's a great team. It's the top of the league for a reason, but I think we got a chance tonight.
Well, Sol, thank you ever so much
Thank
for
you for
coming
having
in.
me.
Thank you very
Thank you.
much as well for all your tweets at home. Hashtag Transfer Talk at Sky Sports News. Keith, thank you very much. Emma, thank you. Anton, thank you. Ade's still over there, just hovering in the background. Thank you very much. Plenty more to come here on Sky Sports News. We're going to be hearing from loads of Premier League managers, including David Moyes. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is on the way as well. Good Morning Transfers is coming up at 9 a.m. tomorrow, so come back to us then. Tomorrow at midday, Transfer Talk is back. That's this show. Before then, though, Dharmesh Sheth and Kaveh Solokol return with the Transfer Show. Continues tonight at 7 o'clock this evening. Coming up on Sky Sports News, more from the story as Catalan Dragons have announced the signing of Israel Folau. Stay with us here at Sky Sports News.